the difference.
Tonight, line of fire. We are in the Middle East on a day as deadly as any of the crisis. Southern Lebanon, a wasteland, and new fears across Israel. We were there when the missiles came down. The way out. Foreigners rush to leave Lebanon by air, land, and sea. The U.S. says it will bring Americans home, but build them later. Heat wave, record temperatures across the country. We follow the people who save others from the heat that kills. And down to Earth. Space Shuttle Discovery finishes its 5 million-mile journey. But are there still doubts behind the perfect landing?
From ABC News, this is World News Tonight with Charles Gibson. Reporting tonight from the Middle East.
Good evening from Jerusalem. This is a region of the world where actions speak louder than words. There was a great deal of warlike action today, but so for the first time were there words from nations outside the region about how the crisis in this area might be resolved. First, today's events. Rockets and bombs fell for a sixth day on both sides of the Israeli-Lebanese border. Israeli air attacks have now killed more than 200 people in Lebanon. Hezbollah rocket attacks have killed 24 people in Israel. The Prime Minister, Ehud Olmert, gave a fiery address to the Israeli parliament, saying his country's offensive would stop only if all captured Israeli soldiers are released, if Hezbollah militants end their attacks on Israel, and if Hezbollah leaves the area it controls on Israel's northern border. Meanwhile, the exodus of people anxious to get out of Lebanon has begun. We'll cover all of this tonight, starting with ABC's David Wright, reporting from Beirut, Lebanon, a country being systematically pounded by the Israelis. David?
Charlie, Israel is now trying to establish a security zone inside Lebanon, a buffer where no one can fire rockets at them. What that means on the ground is almost total destruction. Israel is turning southern Lebanon into a wasteland. Today, Israel struck points in the north, the west, and the east. But the south of Lebanon bore the worst of it. At a factory in Sidon that makes tissues, at countless gas stations and farms. Today, Israel even targeted the sewage system. Entire families are now packing up and hitting the road. All the main roads are ruined. The bridge is broken. But there's a traffic jam headed north. These families say they have nothing to do with Hezbollah. They just want to leave.
All I care about is that I don't pay the price for somebody else's crime, okay? Okay? They're innocent people.
They're frightened and angry.
We are Hezbollah and we will destroy Israel.
Today the war came uncomfortably close to us. A flaming projectile spiraled towards our camera position. It's not clear what it was. The Israelis claim it was a Hezbollah rocket aimed at Tel Aviv and that Israel shot it down. The Lebanese say an Israeli drone they downed as it dropped propaganda leaflets like this one, a cartoon showing the Hezbollah leader as a snake being charmed out of a basket by the leaders of Iran and Syria. Whatever it was scary. The terrible reality of this war hits home for everyone here. Today, these children, refugees from the south, drew jet planes, Israeli bombers. This is where they saw those planes when they blasted the city of Tyre. 20 civilians were killed here, mostly women and children. That kind of destruction is what leads many ordinary Lebanese to view the Israelis as villains. Whether or not they approve of Hezbollah, they hear the bombs raining down. They see the destruction, and many are angry at Israel. Charlie?
David Wright reporting tonight from Beirut. As we mentioned, evacuations from Lebanon have begun. Hundreds of foreigners have already boarded ships and set sail for the island of Cyprus. Others have left over land. Tonight, the U.S. military's plans for pulling out Americans who want to leave are falling into place. And ABC's national security correspondent, Jonathan Karl, has that story.
Get ready immediately. That's the message the U.S. Embassy sent today to American citizens who want to leave Lebanon. But there hasn't been anything immediate about this evacuation. Just 63 Americans have been evacuated so far, a drop in the bucket considering there are 25,000 American citizens in Lebanon. ABC News spoke to Susan Gerage of Boston, stuck in northern Lebanon with her family.
Everyone's very anxious, and especially when you don't know what will happen to the situation and if you can't get out.
Back home, her father is anxious and upset.
We tried to reach the State Department, the White House, and try to get them out, to evacuate them, since every other country in the world have been evacuated their citizens.
The French, Spanish, and others have started moving their citizens more quickly. The State Department says evacuating Americans is more complicated and more dangerous because there are more of them.
We are operating on a scale of operations and planning that is really different than most other countries.
To pick up the pace, the Pentagon has contracted this cruise ship to start moving Americans out of Beirut to the nearby island of Cyprus as early as tomorrow evening. It will be escorted by the U.S. destroyer Gonzales. Security is an enormous challenge, protecting large number of Americans at evacuation points and navigating them through a war zone. The Navy is also preparing to send up to 6 warships to Beirut, capable of evacuating thousands of people. But there will be no free rides here. The government is sending each of the evacuees a bill for the trip. Charlie?
Jonathan Karl at the Pentagon tonight. Now for the missile attacks that are raining down on Israel. Despite all the Israeli air attacks on southern Lebanon, the Hezbollah forces are still firing plenty of missiles at a variety of Israeli targets. Foremost among them, the seaside city of Haifa. This is the normal sound of Haifa. This was the sound of Haifa today. And this was the reality, an incoming missile, fortunately this one landing in the water. There were 3 waves of missiles today, 15 rockets in all aimed at the city by Hezbollah militants. Most landed harmlessly, at sea or in uninhabited areas. Most. But one of them did hit home, and it was this home near the sea in Haifa. An apartment building, 3 stories, 6 people were wounded, 3 seriously, but miraculously no one was killed. In the 2nd floor apartment, the one there covered by the concrete slab from the 3rd floor, living alone, a 70-year-old grandmother who normally at the hour the missile hit would have been sitting on her balcony. But today she was back asleep in the bedroom and thus was saved. The table still set for lunch, the flowers still colorful. The drapes hanging in front of a window that no longer exists, all testament to the disruption of everyday life. Emotions are close to the surface. Near tears outside the destroyed apartment, this man screamed, "How can we let this happen? We must kill them all." Security forces were out in force. Ambulances were seemingly headed in every direction. Shopkeepers quickly closed their shops. One man even abandoned his car right in the middle of the street and headed for shelter. But surprisingly, there is no mass migration out of the city. As we stood outside the destroyed apartment, another series of sirens. The move for cover was orderly. Haifa's chief of police.
This population here is strong. They can endure a situation like this for many days, and we will let the army, we'll give the army all the time that it needs to deal with the situation.
No sense of panic.
Not at all. Not at all.
Bulldozers were quick to clean up Haifa's remains of the day. As one local official said, this was a lucky day. For the first time today, the international community began to talk about how to end this crisis. British Prime Minister Tony Blair and UN Secretary General Kofi Annan today called for an international force, perhaps UN troops, to step in and police the Israeli-Lebanese border. And President Bush seemed open to the idea, expressing his feelings about the overall crisis in a candid and colorful way. Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent Martha Raddatz with the president at the G8 summit.
President Bush and his British counterpart have made numerous comments about the Mideast crisis at this summit, but today's were by far the most candid because the 2 leaders were unaware a microphone was on. President Bush was seated between the presidents of Russia and China when Britain's Prime Minister Tony Blair walked up to talk to Mr. Bush.
See, the irony is that what they need to do is get Syria to get Hezbollah to stop doing this.
That was an apparent reference to the United Nations, where the U.S. has been pushing for a tougher stance against Syria. The president also had sharp words for UN Secretary General Kofi Annan.
What about Kofi Annan? That's all right. That's a little, I don't like the sequence of it. His attitude is basically ceasefire and everything else happens.
Shortly after the remarks, Blair realized the microphone was on and reached over and turned it off. The White House made no apology for President Bush's words, saying he said what he said. His words speak for themselves. Martha Raddatz, ABC News, St. Petersburg.
The Israeli government is not in favor of an international peacekeeping force, at least right now. For them, this is still a military operation to defeat an enemy that has long sought to destroy them. Earlier today, I spoke with one of the architects of Israel's policy, Foreign Minister Tzipi Livni, and we started talking about the fact that the world's leaders at the G8 summit did not call for a ceasefire. The fact that they did not call for a ceasefire, does it say in your mind, Israel, do what you have to do militarily before this gets settled?
Firstly, Israel will do what it has to do because it is about the lives of Israelis. It's about the lives of people not only in the northern part of Israel. It's about the existence of Israel. It is not, you know, a small event in the northern part of Israel that the Hezbollah caused a few days ago. It is about the threat from Hezbollah as part of this axis of terrorism and hatred.
So a UN delegation comes in here tomorrow to begin to talk about what to do. Do you think there's going to be a push to get some sort of UN force on the border? Is that where we eventually head?
I think that this will be part of the discussions.
But is that not the only practical way to end this, to get a UN force on the border, given the question of whether the Lebanese government will ever be strong enough to take control of the border themselves?
Well, the best option, of course, is to get the Lebanese army on the border. But in the Middle East, you have to choose between bad options. It's not only about the best option. And as long as they say that they don't have the ability to do it, so we have to discuss with the international community what is the best way to get out of it.
Do you think that you have degraded the military capabilities of Hezbollah, or do you still worry that longer-range missiles could come into the country?
It's a yes answer for both your questions. I mean, we degraded it and they have now less missiles, but yet it's not over yet.
You still worry?
Yes.
The Foreign Minister of Israel. Despite the ongoing crisis here in the Middle East, U.S. oil prices backed off today from last week's record run-up. The price of a barrel closed at $75.30. That's down nearly $2, but the recent spike is reflected at the gas pump. The government says the average price of a gallon hit $2.99 last week, up 2 cents. Also in the Middle East, an especially brazen attack in Iraq today. Gunmen hurled grenades and sprayed gunfire at shoppers south of Baghdad. At least 50 people, most of them Shiites, were killed. Some witnesses said Iraqi troops and police did not intervene until the attackers were fleeing. We'll be back at the end of this broadcast with a final note from the Middle East, but when we come back, extreme heat, scorching temperatures across the U.S., the all-out effort to protect the elderly, and a perfect landing for the shuttle Discovery. Is the space program finally back on track?
This is World News Tonight, brought to you by Advil.
My baby left for college, and for the mess he left, I needed a pain reliever for my back. Took some classes of my own and got something else for arthritis pain. Went high-tech and needed a headache medicine, too. Every new pain, a different pain reliever. But now, Advil is my every pain reliever. Advil works wherever I hurt, and nothing's proven stronger on tough pain. So, whatever happens, happens. I'm all Advil.
Red eye's making a bad impression. There's a Visine for that. Visine Advanced Relief soothes, refreshes, and cools with its 3 moisturizer formula. Red irritated eyes, there's a Visine for that.
If your day's like most people's, it's not easy to get all the fruit and vegetable servings the USDA recommends, unless you bring the produce section with you.
Bring it. Come.
Or just start your day with a glass of Florida orange juice. 1 8-ounce glass counts as almost 25% of your daily recommended fruit and vegetable servings. Florida orange juice. Healthy, pure, and simple.
My life is more than I expected, so it's a good thing there's Caltrate. It does more than I expected.
Introducing new Caltrate, now with more vitamin D. It helps keep bones strong and your colon healthy.
Bring it on.
New Caltrate, more than you expect.
All of us have internal plumbing. But for some of us with frequent bladder urges, doing errands also means knowing where all the bathrooms are along the way. The worry your pipes might leak means you don't always detour from your route. But you can take another direction. Talk to your doctor about how to take care with Vesicare. Vesicare, once a day, can reduce urges and may help effectively manage bladder leakage, day and night. If you have certain types of stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems, do not take Vesicare. While taking Vesicare, if you experience a serious allergic reaction, severe abdominal pain, or become constipated for 3 or more days, tell your doctor right away. Common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, blurred vision, and indigestion. A chance to follow a whim, not always your urges. It's not just a pipe dream. Ask your doctor today if Vesicare is right for you.
There was a major earthquake off the coast of Indonesia today that sent a powerful tsunami crashing into popular beach resorts on Java Island. A magnitude 7.7 quake triggered today's killer wave, which hit a part of the country that was spared by the devastating tsunami in December 2004. The death toll now stands at 86, and many others are missing. You at home know better than I that it is hot, unbearably hot across the United States. The map says it all. The color red is just about everywhere. 90-degree temperatures were forecast in each of the lower 48 states today, and 100-degree readings were reported in many places. This heat not only is uncomfortable, it is life-threatening. Here's ABC's Barbara Pinto.
In near 100-degree heat, Simon Lewis spent today going door to door. In Chicago's searing weather, it's not a courtesy, but a matter of life and death.
These are bottles of water, just to make sure you stay hydrated.
Heat kills nearly 400 people nationwide every year, more than earthquakes, lightning, tornadoes, floods, and pre-Katrina hurricanes combined. Chicago knows all too well. In 1995, more than 700 people died here in a 3-day July heat wave. Most were senior citizens who lived alone.
We learned just how insidious heat can be, how it can day after day overpower natural defense mechanisms.
Now there are flashing warnings and phone calls to residents at risk.
Letting you know that it is dangerously hot today.
In Philadelphia, air-conditioned senior centers are staying open late. And this New York high-rise apartment building is replacing its roof with a much cooler garden.
A black tar roof, if you will, could be as much as 180 degrees on a day like today.
Still, many believe cities are not doing as much as Chicago to reach the elderly and the poor.
Philadelphia, St. Louis, Washington, D.C. are just as vulnerable as Chicago was in 1995.
Forecasters expect some relief in the Midwest tomorrow as soaring temperatures spread east. But later this week, the heat returns, and with it, the danger. Barbara Pinto, ABC News, Chicago.
For information about all the health risks of excessive heat and how to protect yourself, you can go to our website. That's at abcnews.com. Coming up, the shuttle back on solid ground. And now NASA says it will really get busy.
My kids call me the finisher. Finish up in there.
Okay.
Finish your homework?
Yes.
Finish your vegetables. Something I thought I was finished with? Managing my acid reflux disease. I thought it was just bad heartburn, but my doctor said over time, stomach acid was damaging the lining of my esophagus. She prescribed Nexium. Said I needed more than heartburn relief. My esophagus needed repair. One prescription Nexium pill a day not only relieves my heartburn, it healed erosions in my esophagus. So I don't just feel better, I am better. And with the Purple Plus program, I get advice on nutrition, exercise, even ways to save on Nexium. My doctor did say headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain could be side effects of Nexium, and other serious stomach conditions may still exist.
Talk to your doctor about the healing Purple Pill.
I tell him you shouldn't do anything halfway. Let's finish up.
If you're without prescription coverage and can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
$30,000. Do I hear 40? $40,000. Do I hear 50? 50,000. I have 50,000. Going once, twice. Sold to the gentleman in the center.
Hi.
Moving on. This is a 19th.
Okay. I want to go ahead and sell it now.
Sell what?
That thing I bought.
Constantly buying and selling stocks doesn't make much sense either. That's why Edward Jones recommends investment strategies that have proven themselves over the long term. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Hello? Remember me? I'm Digger, the dermatophyte, your nail infection. You may have tried to get me with these over-the-counter surface treatments, but I live deep under your nails. I made myself at home down here, and I'm not leaving. I may even spread out to other nails. I mean, look at this view.
If you have thick discolor or flaky nails, over-the-counter surface treatments might not reach the infection. That's why you should ask your doctor about prescription-only Lamisil tablets. Unlike surface treatments, Lamisil is a pill that works through the bloodstream to target and attack the infection at its source, under the nail. In fact, you may start to see clearer, healthier nails in just 3 months. Lamisil isn't for people with liver or kidney problems. In rare cases, serious side effects have occurred in the liver and skin. Your doctor may do a simple blood test. Tell your doctor about other medicines you take or if you have nausea, vomiting, appetite loss, skin yellowing, or rash. Ask your doctor about Lamisil. Get your nail infection where it grows.
Crisis and chaos in the Middle East, and Charles Gibson and World News Tonight are right there, reporting live inside Israel, Lebanon, and all across the Middle East. Tomorrow, to better understand the conflict and what happens next, turn to World News Tonight, your trusted source.
NASA and the astronauts of Discovery are celebrating the shuttle's picture-perfect return to Earth today. The smooth landing put the finishing touch on a successful 13-day mission that had a lot riding on it. ABC's Lisa Stark is at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
This was the moment NASA had been waiting for.
Welcome back, Discovery.
A flawless touchdown, capping a virtually trouble-free mission.
We had a tough job to do, and we got it done.
With 15 more flights scheduled to finish building the International Space Station, NASA officials were quick to say they would not let the success of this mission make them complacent.
We need to not be overconfident. We need to not get ahead of ourselves.
That's because there is a nagging problem. NASA still needs a long-term fix to stop foam from falling off the shuttle's fuel tank.
The ghost of Columbia is going to be looking over the shoulder on every mission, reminding people the need for this vigilance and care.
Next flight up, Atlantis, set for 6 weeks from now. But for today, the space agency is basking in the success of Discovery, which NASA says came home in better condition than any space shuttle ever. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Kennedy Space Center.
We got word late tonight that Mickey Spillane, one of the best-selling mystery writers of all time, has died. Spillane created the hard-boiled detective Mike Hammer 60 years ago in the book I, the Jury. The gumshoe character went on to become a fixture of books that sold more than 100 million copies. Mickey Spillane died in South Carolina. He was 88 years old. And when we return, one Arab, one Jew, and one wish. The view from a Jerusalem cafe.
I feel these tingling sensations deep inside my legs.
It's a tightening feeling that keeps me from getting to sleep.
For me, it's creepy crawly. I feel like I have to get up and move just to get some relief.
My doctor said it's restless leg syndrome, or RLS. He prescribed Requip, the only RLS medication approved by the FDA. He said Requip would help relieve my RLS symptoms, even the uncontrollable leg movements that disturb my sleep. Requip helped me make peace with my legs.
Requip may cause you to fall asleep or feel very sleepy during normal activities such as driving, or to faint or feel dizzy when you stand up. Tell your doctor if you experience these problems, or if you drink alcohol or are taking medicines that make you drowsy. Side effects include nausea, drowsiness, vomiting, and dizziness. Most patients were not bothered enough to stop taking Requip. Ask your doctor if Requip can help put your RLS to rest.
Red Lobster's bringing you something new. Seafood dishes inspired from around the country, like sweet Maui Luau shrimp and salmon, southern honey barbecue shrimp and chicken, and our New England lobster and shrimp. For a limited time, only at Red Lobster.
Part of you is afraid to treat your menopausal symptoms. Part of you is afraid not to. Visit nomenopause.com. Because part of you is confused about hormone therapy, all of you wants to understand more. Check out nomenopause.com.
My name is Andrea Heisler, and this is my story. I facilitate communication between two people who can't normally communicate. I started having joint pain in my wrist. I would avoid certain signs, like last night would hurt my wrist. I took some Aleve. I could actually move my wrist. The one cool thing about my job is everyone's always happy to see me. Aleve worked great.
Red Eye's making a bad impression. There's a for that.
What's wrong?
Upset about eye allergies. There's a Visine for that.
Beautiful. Move it, shake it, baby.
Eyes dried out. There's a Visine for that. For over 40 years, Visine has been the eye expert. So no matter what your eye irritation, red, itch, dry, or even contacts, there's a Visine for that.
The country's music is coming to America's network. The CMA Music Festival, where fans get VIP access. And the hottest live music, the CMA Music Festival. Next Monday, 9/8 Central, only on ABC.
A final note tonight on this region. As this day began, we went to a Jerusalem cafe just to hear the talk of the street.
We're supporting the government.
This was not any cafe. 3 years ago, a suicide bomber essentially destroyed this place, killing 8. Like so many parts of this land, it has been rebuilt, restored, rejuvenated, and everyone inside was talking about the events of the day.
We had daily bombing for the last few days.
We met a man from the north who hadn't fled the missiles, he said, just come to Jerusalem for some fresh air.
They are the front line.
A Jerusalem resident who said the Israeli army was only doing what it had to do. And then a young couple, Moshe and Marlon. He an Orthodox Jew, she a Palestinian. But it's working. It's working. I remarked how unusual it felt to find them together. And she made the point that 10 years ago, no one would have thought anything about their friendship, just two people wanting to live in peace. But 2 intifadas, now a 2-front battle for Israel, have changed that. Sometimes we take 2 steps forward and maybe 1 back. In this area so often, it is the other way around. And that is World News Tonight for this Monday in Jerusalem. I'm Charles Gibson. I'll be here in the region again tomorrow. For all of us at ABC News, have a good evening and good night.
Tomorrow, ABC takes you where Idol has never gone. A new competition where you'll see everything. And we mean everything. The One, Making a Music Star, premieres tomorrow 9/8 Central only on ABC.
See it, shoot it, send it. When you capture breaking news on your camera or cell phone, email it to Eyewitness News at video@myabc7.com.
Time to make a change. Changes in the air.
Just the change you've been looking for. The long and short of it is, Ross has the latest looks for fall.
Time to make a change. Changes everywhere.
And it's savings of 40 to 60% off department store prices. You'll get to keep a big chunk of change.
Time to make a change. Changes.
Ross, there's no comparison.
Changes everywhere.
Nice to see you, Miss Heaton.
Hey, Mr. Pharmacist. So you shop here, too?
Well, actually, I work here.
But you're a pharmacist.
Yeah, Save On Pharmacist.
And this is Albertsons.
The last time I checked.
Am I missing something?
Remember, for all your family's healthcare needs, the most convenient pharmacy in Southern California is still the Save On Pharmacy in your neighborhood Albertsons.
So I guess I'll be seeing you around Albertsons.
Well, technically, Save On.
Right. Only at Albertsons.